Hey folks, this is Mr. Callahan. Just want to welcome you to Chapter 2, Economics in the Global Economy. We'll be doing this in two sections. All right, the first one is Section 1, which is the economy and the government. So let's get to it. Our essential question is, how can your understanding of economic principles, which we covered in last chapter, and government policies influence your financial decisions? We have some vocab here, starting with fiat money, money supply, etc. These are all listed on Quizlet, and there is a link to all of these vocab words and their meanings. In this section, these are the objectives. We want to name the three main functions and properties of money. We want to discuss the role government plays in the United States economy. We want to explain the federal budget, cite examples of government agencies established to protect investors, workers, consumers, and the environment. Then we are going to describe the structure, purpose, and function of the Federal Reserve, which we call the Fed. So money has value because people accept it as representing value. Fiat money is the money that you carry around in your pocket, okay? The dollar bills, the 1, the 10, the 5, the 20, 50, and the $100 bill, and all that change that you have, pennies, from pennies to quarters to half dollars and dollars. They're what the government deems as money, or they call it legal tender, all right? Money is used for trading, saving, investing, and lending. The functions of money. It is a medium of exchange. It's a unit of value, and it is store of value. Okay, so I can't take my property or my house and put it in my pocket, but I can take money and put it in my pocket and store that value. Okay, it's divisible. It can be made into change, right? 5 20s for 100, 20 nickels for $1. It's usable, and in the United States, it's stable. So graphically speaking, the characteristics of money are it's portable, durable, divisible, but in limited supply. That's kind of why it has value. It's a medium of exchange, a measurement of value, and a store of value, as we said on the other page. The money supply is the total amount of money in circulation in a country. That's cash and liquid assets. The effect on prices. If the money supply exactly equals the production of goods and services, there's no inflation or deflation. If there's more money than production, prices will increase. If there's high productivity and low money supply, prices decrease. The goal of the Fed and the government is to stabilize prices, to have very little or no inflation or deflation. It impacts the value of a dollar, and we can set favorable and unfavorable exchange rates. This is pretty easy stuff, all right? This is the circular flow of economic resources. If you saw the video that I posted for YouTube, you have the government in the middle, businesses here on the left, individuals over on the right. Businesses sell goods and services to individuals. Individuals buy them with money. Businesses pay taxes. The government provides benefit. Individuals pay taxes. The government provides benefits back to them. If we are employed, business gives us a paycheck, and we work 40 hours a week for the business. Okay, so that's how the world basically goes around and around and around. The government is heavily involved in our economic system. It's for the safety and welfare of the people, honestly speaking. When we have a federal budget. When we're running a budget deficit, that means we spend more than we take in. It creates a national debt, which means the government must borrow. All right, the government borrows from banks, domestic banks and international banks. If there's a budget surplus, there is greater revenue than spending, and there's money to lend out or fund other programs. In bad times, we run a budget deficit. In good times, obviously, a budget surplus. Most of the government revenue comes from income tax and Social Security taxes. All right, there's a little bit of corporate income taxes, some other excise taxes, and other revenues like admission to federal parks and things of that nature. So the government does earn some revenue from that, but very little. It looks like about 85% of it comes from individuals paying their Social Security tax and income tax. So we need regulation in this country. If we did not have regulation, the rich would be too rich. We would have poor and we would have bad drugs and possibly poisonous food in our system. So there are government agencies that regulate things for the safety of investors, worker safety, consumer safety, and the safety of the environment. The SEC is the Security Exchange Commission, and they enforce laws in the stock market. There is the Federal Reserve System. They take care of policing the banks, all right? So that people do not run away with people's hard-earned money. For workers, there's Occupational Safety and Health Administration. Some of you have heard of OSHA, all right? They keep people safe on the job and make sure that workplaces are safe. The Equal Employment Opportunity Commission protects against discrimination. For consumers, I talked about bad food being in our system. There isn't bad food in our system because we have a Food and Drug Administration that polices the food producers and the drug producers in this nation. We have a Federal Trade Commission, which keeps everybody honest who are trading things. And the EPA, I think you may have already heard of, they keep our streams and waters and our air clean. They make sure that the polluters are taken to task, and if there is any fines or citations to issue, that the Environmental Protection Agency may even close down a business if they are polluting the environment. So we pay, the taxes pay the agencies that regulate and laws that are enacted by Congress. The regulations have the weight of law. These are laws that have been passed: the Social Security Act, the Federal Insurance Contribution Act, Medicare, Medicaid, school lunch programs, grants, scholarships, fellowships, student loans, and FEMA is funded and regulated by the government. So if you need assistance when there has been a hurricane or a natural disaster, you'll see FEMA show up with alternative housing, food and clothing, charging stations for phones, and chainsaws and anything to help people out if they've been in a hurricane or a tornado. This is the Fed. We call it the Fed, F-E-D. It's the Federal Reserve System. It is the central bank of the United States. It regulates the U.S. banking system. It does not regulate the trading on Wall Street. The SEC, Securities and Exchange Commission, regulates that. So the Fed guides monetary policy, interest rates, foreign exchange rates. There is a board of governors, almost like a board of directors, and there are 12 Federal Reserve banks located around the nation. It supervises and regulates those banks and lending institutions, and it also regulates the money supply and helps stabilize the economy. So graphically speaking, it looks like this. The Fed is the central bank. It guides monetary policy, like I said, interest rates and foreign exchange rates, and it also regulates the U.S. banking system. What is the Federal Reserve's role in the economy? Well, again, it supervises those financial institutions. It provides services to banks and the government. It writes regulation and protects consumers through consumer credit protection laws. It offers stats and information on the economy, and it publishes related reports. Sorry, I'm getting a little long-winded here, guys. And the function of the Fed is to regulate the money supply and regulate foreign exchange markets. So it influences the economy through control over the federal funds rate. When you talk about the interest rate, all right, or the Fed interest rate, that is called the federal funds rate. It can lower rates in times of recession, and it raises rates when the economy is growing too fast. Back in 2008, 2009, 2010, it was lowering interest rates because the economy was in a recession. But lately, In 2018, 2019, it's been raising rates because the economy is growing. All right, and also the function of the Fed is to change the monetary policies in the international markets. That affects international trade and relations. A weak dollar and a strong dollar affect the economy in different ways. This is the Big Mac Index, all right? It's kind of funny, but it's interesting. This is the price of the Big Mac in different countries. So you can see here at the United States, this is the barometer, so ours is $4.62. If you go to Norway, because of the exchange rate and the prices and maybe government intervention in Norway, the price is all the way up at $7.80. But down here in South Africa, it's only $2.16. All right, so you can see how it differs in different parts of the world. This is a percentage over here, so you can see that in Norway, it's a little bit more than 60% more than it is here in the United States. But down in, let's see, South Africa, China, and Malaysia, it looks to be about 45% cheaper than our benchmark, $4.62 here in the US. So that is Chapter 2, Section 1, the economy and the government. Our essential question is how can you understand, how can your understanding of economic principles, which we covered in Chapter 1, and government policies, which we just covered, influence your financial decision making? Answer that question. It's available on my Schoology page. That is all, and I will catch you at Section 2.